Alright, so I originally wanted to do this video as like a more edited, really big video, but considering it's going to involve the words politics and stuff in it, I was almost kind of worried that it might get buried by YouTube's algorithm or whatever, because, sensitive topics. So I was like, let's just do a quick little video. Anyways, let's get into it. Hello there, guys. This is Solid Shepherd bringing you another video. And today we are looking at, I saw this on Twitter earlier and I kind of had to respond to it, a tweet from Neil Druckmann. Obviously still hating on his own fans and all that. We're not going to get into all that. I loved the first Last of Us. I despise The Last of Us 2. That's all I really have to say on that. But I'm more interested in, because something that this kind of brought up, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while actually. Turns out you can make serious games without any politics involved. Like this guy was saying that at Neil Druckmann, right? He had Far Cry 3, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Halo, and then Spec Ops The Line. He was like, but those are so I yield, you win. Now we're going to go down to my response here. We're just going to go over what I said to him real quickly to set this up. Listen, Neil, I love the first Last of Us. Ellie being gay and all. That didn't bother me at all. You made a masterpiece. You ruined it with the second game. I have two following tweets. One, which is what this video, the first one's what this video is about, to explain where you and most story writers go wrong these days. And the other is to explain the fallacy in your logic. Now, before we get into it, Halo does have politics, but it's universe politics that builds depth of the universe. And then Hellblade was about basically a mental disability that some people have to live with and go through. It's supposed to kind of simulate that. That's about as political as that gets. That's about it. But we go to this one right here, okay? So this first one. Let's break down what I mean by this, okay? Politics have been used in fiction since Captain America punching the bad guys. But here is where many of you get it wrong. Bad stories involving politics write the story to push their politics. Good stories involving politics use them as a plot point to drive their stories. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so let's say you have a story, right? You have a bad guy. For instance, Thanos, right? Thanos' politics were he believed the universe, finite sourced resources. There's a finite amount of resources, a limited amount of resources. Eventually, overpopulation will cause issues. So his politics, what he believed, was you need to make sure that doesn't happen. That's why he tried to snap half of the universe away. Those were his politics. The story wasn't written so that Marvel could say, we need to murder half of the population, right? No. They had their character believe that he needed to murder half the population to move the story. So that's what brings me to this point right here. Good stories involving politics use them as a plot point to drive their stories. Thanos' politics of overpopulation was a plot point that was used to drive the narrative of the story forward. It's supposed to drive it forward, create conflict, all that. When you write, and that's a good story. It's interesting, it's intriguing, it gets you engaged. People love it. Whenever you write a story to push politics, to push a narrative like that, it's lazy writing. It's bad writing. No one likes it, right? You can have a story about someone who's in the LGBT community. Let's say they're gay, let's say they're black, and let's say they're a woman, right? If you use their background of being a minority, being part of the LGBT community, right, and being a woman, if you use the politics that come behind that, agree with it or not, agree with those politics or not, if you use those politics in the story to drive a narrative, drive like a personal struggle, a personal journey where the character evolves, that's a good story. It's something everyone can kind of get engaged with and all that. But if you create a story just to be like, look, here's a black gay woman, you know, it's not good. That's why a lot of people didn't like Rey in Star Wars. It almost seemed like the story was basically written to push, look, female main lead Star Wars character, go feminism, right? She was a Mary Sue. She didn't have any struggles. She was just, the story existed to push women, basically. And that's not a good story. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is, if you write a story to push politics, that's propaganda. If you use politics as a plot device to move your story forward, that's good writing. Captain America back in the day, when he was on the cover punching the bad guys, as I'm just gonna call them. I don't know why this video is not, it's not like I'm monetizing this video anyways. Fine, Hitler. When he was punching Hitler, when he's punching Nazis on the cover, it wasn't, I mean, it kind of was, but the way they wrote it is, you know, the Nazis, Hydra, as, you know, they later kind of have, like, Hydra as the fill-in for that. It wasn't just hate Nazis, right? There was actual story reasons that it needed to take place for all that stuff to happen. And, you know, this has gone on for years. There are politics and stuff. Look at Grand Theft Auto has politics in it. Batman has politics in it. Spider-Man has politics in it. Like, Red Sonja, I call it Red Sonja, but the Red Sonja story, it's very, you know, empowering to women. It has politics in it. They all have politics in it, but what separates the good stories from the bad stories is the good stories focus on the story. The politics are just a driving force within the story. Whereas The Last of Us Part 2 suffers from a bad story pushing a political agenda, right? No one wants that. No one wants to be preached to. And that's the problem. People who agree with the message don't even want to be preached to. Like, there are people who agree with a lot of the messages in The Last of Us Part 2 who still say, no, this is a bad story. So yeah, I mean, that brings me to tokenism. This is a big thing. What is a token character? What's a token gay character? A token black character? A token female character? They're literally characters that only exist to have diversity in the game, or in the movie, the novel, the comic book. They don't really have any character other than they are of that identity, basically. You know, it's identity politics. And really that stems from stories that were literally written just to push the agenda of those identities, basically. To push those politics. They don't have any real depth of character. There was no real writing that was involved. Any story that is there is literally only exists to push their narrative for that issue, identity, whatever you want to call it. Whereas you will have stories that are just written so well, and the characters are so fleshed out. Like, any straight character isn't just a straight character. Why is that? Because it's just kind of accepted that that's just not who they are. Who they sleep with in the bedroom is not who they are. So it's generally accepted to be the norm or whatever for straight people. Non-LGBT people, white people, I guess men. It's just, like, especially in, like, cinema, it's very much more accepted than everywhere else. So they're not going to push that because there's no point in pushing it. So they write a story, and any politics that are in that story is only meant to push the story. So hence the characters are a lot deeper. There's a lot more going on that's interesting in the story. Whereas if you have a gay character and the story literally is just trying to push this character's gay and gay is good. I'm not saying gay is bad. I'm just saying if the story's written basically to say gay is good, then that character is only going to be a token. They're going to be a token character. There's going to be nothing interesting about them. And nobody wants that. So that's really what I just kind of want to get off my chest, is because I've said this for years on social media to people and stuff. It's like, people are always like, well, there's always been politics in media, like in comic books and movies and video games. I'm like, yes, there is. And you know what? Politics can actually make it a lot better. It can make it a lot more interesting. Look at Star Wars. The Star Wars prequel trilogy and the original trilogy was very political. Like the Senate versus Palpatine trying to become Emperor, right? It was very political. There was a lot of political intrigue in there. Like, it can make a story very interesting, but it depends on how you do it. Politics as a plot device can be really good. But when you try and make the story itself the plot device to push your politics, that's when people have issue. It depends on how you do it. Anyways, guys, let me know what you thought of this video. Sorry if it seemed like I'm a little out of it, I was working today. I'm a little tired. I'm a little not all up here. But I really wanted to make this video before it left my brain or I forgot about it or whatever. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video or you like my channel or like all my other videos, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, it's been Solid Shepherd, and I should go.